Something is happening right now that hasn't occurred since before the Civil War. Neptune, the planet of dreams, spirituality, and infinite possibility, is entering Aries for the first time in 165 years. This isn't just another planetary transit. This is a generational awakening that's going to turn impossible dreams into courageous action. 3 specific areas of your life that seem too big, too unrealistic, too impossible. They're about to get infused with warrior energy that makes them not just possible, but inevitable. Let's dive deeper and discover what's awakening. Neptune Aries ignites mystic warriors. When Neptune enters Aries, something extraordinary happens in the collective consciousness. The dreamer meets the warrior, and suddenly people everywhere start believing they can fight for visions that seemed impossible before. You see, Neptune has been in Pisces for the last 13 years, and Pisces is Neptune's home sign, so that energy was gentle, flowing, sometimes confusing, often escapist. People had beautiful dreams, but not always the courage to pursue them. But Aries doesn't dream passively, doesn't wait for perfect conditions, doesn't second guess. When Neptune moves into this fire sign, it creates what the ancients called the mystic warrior. Someone who sees divine visions and then actually does something about them. This isn't just affecting 1 or 2 people. This is a collective shift that's going to change how entire generations approach spirituality, creativity, and personal purpose. The mystic warrior doesn't separate spiritual life from active life, doesn't meditate in a cave and ignore the world's problems, doesn't pursue inner peace at the expense of outer action. Instead, this energy says your spiritual visions are meant to be lived, not just contemplated. Your impossible dreams aren't fantasies to comfort you. They're assignments from your soul that require courage to manifest. And for the next 13 years while Neptune travels through Aries, that's going to be the dominant spiritual energy on the planet. What this means for you personally is that dreams you've been carrying quietly, maybe for years, maybe for your whole life, are suddenly going to feel urgent, necessary, non-negotiable. Things you thought were too big for someone like you. Starting that movement, writing that book, launching that business, healing that relationship, transforming that community. They're going to stop feeling impossible and start feeling like the only thing that makes sense. The mystic warrior energy doesn't guarantee success without effort, but it does guarantee that the courage to try will be available to you in ways it hasn't been before. And sometimes, that's all you need to begin. First impossible dream gets clarity. There's one dream you've been carrying that you've almost given up on. One vision that felt so impossible you stopped letting yourself think about it because the disappointment was too painful. Maybe it's a creative project that requires resources you don't have, or a lifestyle change that seems unrealistic given your current circumstances, or a calling that feels too big for your resume or experience level. This dream, this is the first one that's going to get its warrior spirit. And what that means is, you're suddenly going to see a path forward where before you only saw obstacles. Not because the obstacles disappeared, but because your perception shifts from, this can't be done, to, how could this be done? The clarity that comes isn't like typical planning. It's more intuitive, more sudden, more certain. You'll be going about your regular day, and suddenly you'll just know the first step. Then the second step reveals itself. Then the third. It's like Neptune is downloading a blueprint directly into your consciousness, and Aries is giving you the courage to actually follow it. This first impossible dream getting clarity is going to feel both exciting and terrifying. Because once you see the path clearly, you can't unsee it. You can't go back to pretending it's impossible. You're going to have to make a choice. Follow the vision or consciously turn away from it. What makes this particular dream the first to activate is that it's been ready the longest. You've done the most inner work around it, even if you didn't realize that's what you were doing. All those years of thinking about it, longing for it, feeling frustrated that it wasn't happening, that was preparation. You were becoming the person who could handle receiving this dream. And now that Neptune is in Aries, the final piece is clicking into place, the warrior courage to actually begin. The clarity isn't going to give you every answer, but it's going to give you enough to start. And with Aries energy, starting is everything. Second dream demands immediate action. While the first impossible dream is about clarity, the second one is about urgency. This is a dream you might not have even realized was important until suddenly it's all you can think about. Neptune in Aries has a way of bringing soul-level priorities to the surface fast, and this second dream is going to hit you with, if not now, when energy that's impossible to ignore. Maybe it's related to your purpose, your contribution to the world, or maybe it's deeply personal, about healing or transformation you need for yourself. Whatever it is, the demand for immediate action is going to feel almost uncomfortable, because you're used to planning, preparing, waiting for the right time. The immediate action being demanded isn't reckless, even though Aries gets that reputation. It's soul urgent. There's a difference. Your logical mind might say, "But I'm not ready," or "I need to figure out more details first," or "What if I fail?" And Neptune in Aries is going to respond with something like, "None of that matters as much as you think it does. Just move." This dream needs you to start before you feel ready, to take action before you have all the answers, to commit before you can see the whole path. And that's scary. But it's also liberating, because it frees you from the paralysis of trying to perfect everything before beginning. What you need to understand about this second dream is that the demand for immediate action is actually a gift. How many dreams have you delayed into non-existence? How many times have you said someday and someday never came? How many visions have you buried under endless preparation that was really just fear in disguise? This dream isn't giving you that option. It's showing up with warrior energy that says, now is the time, this is the moment. Either move or consciously choose not to, but stop pretending you're going to do it later. And when a dream presents itself with that kind of clarity and urgency, the wise response is to honor it with action, even if that action is imperfect, even if you're scared. Now here's where it gets even more interesting, because there's a third impossible dream that's about to get its warrior spirit. And this one is different from the other two. This one has been hidden, buried so deep, you might not even know it's there yet. Ahead in this video, we're going to uncover what that third dream is and why Neptune in Aries is perfectly designed to bring it to the surface. Plus, I'm going to share the specific practices that will help you work with this rare cosmic energy so you don't waste this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Third dream, hidden until now, emerges. The third impossible dream that's getting its warrior spirit. This one's been hidden in your shadow, in the places you don't look because they seem too vulnerable or too presumptuous or too different from who you think you're supposed to be. Maybe it's a dream you had as a child that you dismissed as childish fantasy, or a desire you've kept secret because admitting it out loud would make you feel exposed, or a version of yourself you've been too afraid to become because it would require leaving behind identities you've invested years in building. Neptune in Aries has a way of dissolving the walls we build around our deepest truths. And this third dream is going to emerge whether you feel ready for it or not. The emergence might feel destabilizing at first, because hidden dreams often stay hidden for reasons. Maybe you buried this one because pursuing it would upset people you love, or because it doesn't fit the practical life you've built. or because some part of you believes you don't deserve it. But Neptune doesn't care about your excuses, and Aries doesn't care about your fears. When these two forces combine, they excavate soul truths that have been waiting patiently for their moment. And this is that moment. The dream emerging now isn't going to let you ignore it. It's going to show up in your thoughts constantly, in your dreams at night, in synchronicities that feel too specific to be coincidence. What makes this third dream so powerful is that it's the most authentic one. The one that's been waiting beneath all the other layers of ambition and duty and what you thought you wanted. When you finally let yourself see it clearly, when you stop pushing it away or explaining it away, you're going to recognize it as something you've known all along. It's going to feel like coming home to yourself. And yes, pursuing it might require changes you're not sure you're ready for, conversations you're not sure you're brave enough to have, risks you're not sure you can afford. But the warrior spirit Neptune is giving you doesn't ask if you're ready. It asks if you're willing. And deep down, beneath all the fear and resistance, you are. Collective dreams. Gain personal power. One of the most fascinating things about Neptune entering Aries is how it affects collective dreams. The big visions that groups of people share about how the world could be different, better, more just, more beautiful. For the past 13 years with Neptune in Pisces, collective dreams were compassionate, but sometimes passive. People felt empathy for suffering, but weren't always sure how to create change. But Neptune in Aries shifts that entirely. Suddenly, collective dreams aren't just something we hope for, they're something we fight for. And what's remarkable is how this collective energy translates into personal power for individuals who connect with those larger visions. If you've been feeling called to contribute to something bigger than yourself, if you've been watching social movements or environmental causes or community needs and thinking, I wish I could help, but I'm just one person, Neptune in Aries is going to dissolve that feeling of powerlessness. You're going to start seeing specific ways your unique gifts could serve these collective dreams. Not in some vague future when you're more qualified, but now, with what you have, as who you are. The warrior energy makes you realize that every large movement is made up of individuals who decided to act. And you could be one of those individuals. Your contribution doesn't have to be grand to be meaningful. What happens when personal power connects with collective dreams is that you stop waiting for someone else to fix things, to lead movements, to create change. You realize you're the someone. You're the leader your particular corner of the world needs. You're the change agent who's perfectly positioned to affect the people within your sphere of influence. And when thousands or millions of individuals wake up to that truth simultaneously, which is exactly what Neptune in Aries facilitates, then seemingly impossible collective dreams suddenly become achievable. The warrior spirit isn't just individual courage, it's collective courage, where everyone brings their piece, and together we create miracles. Fear transforms into sacred fuel. Here's something important to understand. Neptune in Aries doesn't take away your fear about pursuing impossible dreams. You're still going to be scared, still going to doubt yourself, still going to have moments where you think, what am I doing? This is crazy. But what changes is your relationship to that fear. Instead of letting fear stop you, you're going to discover how to use it as fuel, as confirmation that you're doing something meaningful, something that matters, something worth being afraid of. The warrior spirit doesn't mean fearlessness. It means moving forward with the fear, transforming it from an obstacle into energy. The transformation of fear into sacred fuel happens when you shift your interpretation of what fear means. Most people think fear means, stop, danger, don't do this. But what if fear sometimes means, this matters so much to your soul that your ego is terrified of failing at it? What if fear is actually pointing you toward exactly what you need to do rather than away from it? Neptune in Aries teaches this alchemical shift, where you feel the fear fully, acknowledge it, respect it even, and then you act anyway because the dream is bigger than the fear. That's sacred fuel, using the intensity of your emotional response as energy to propel you forward rather than freeze you in place. What you'll notice as you practice this transformation is that fear doesn't actually diminish with experience. You just get better at working with it. The first time you act despite fear, it feels like jumping off a cliff. The 10th time, it still feels scary, but also familiar. You know you've survived it before. The 100th time, fear becomes almost like an old friend, uncomfortable but known, respected but not obeyed. And at that point, you're truly embodying the warrior mystic, someone who can hold both the vision of what's possible and the human fear of pursuing it, letting neither dominate, using both as information and fuel. That's mastery. And Neptune in Aries is offering everyone a crash course in exactly that. Spiritual practice demands physical expression. One of the most distinctive qualities of Neptune in Aries is how it refuses to separate spiritual life from physical action. For too long, spirituality has been portrayed as something you do in meditation, in prayer, in quiet contemplation, away from the world. And those practices are valuable. But Neptune in Aries says they're incomplete if they don't lead to embodied action. Your spiritual practice isn't just about feeling peaceful or connected or enlightened. It's about bringing those spiritual insights into physical reality through your choices, your work, your relationships, your activism. The warrior spirit demands that mystical visions become material manifestations. This might feel challenging if you've been someone who uses spiritual practice as escape, as a way to feel better about a life you're not actually willing to change. Neptune in Aries doesn't allow that anymore. It asks, what's the point of meditating on compassion if you're not compassionate in your daily interactions? What's the point of envisioning a better world if you're not taking any action to create it? What's the point of spiritual insight if it doesn't inform practical decisions? These questions aren't meant to make you feel guilty. They're meant to wake you up to the full potential of spiritual practice, which is transformation at every level, inner and outer, ethereal and physical, personal and collective. The physical expression your spiritual practice demands will be unique to you. It's not about following someone else's path or doing what looks spiritual to observers. Maybe your physical expression is creating art that communicates spiritual truths, or building a business that operates from conscious values, or parenting in ways that honor your children's souls, or healing your body as a spiritual practice, or using your voice to speak truths that need speaking. Whatever form it takes, the key is integration. Your spiritual life and your practical life aren't separate compartments anymore. They're woven together into one coherent expression of who you are and what you're here to do. Ancient soul contracts get activated. There's a concept in spiritual traditions about soul contracts, agreements your soul made before incarnating about what you would learn, contribute, experience in this lifetime. Most of the time, these contracts operate in the background. You feel vague pulls towards certain paths, certain relationships, certain experiences, without knowing why. But when Neptune enters a new sign, especially a sign as direct and activating as Aries, some of those soul contracts get consciously activated. Suddenly you know, not think, not hope, but know that you're meant to do something specific, and that knowing comes with warrior energy to actually follow through. The activation of soul contracts can feel overwhelming because they often involve things you don't feel qualified for. Leading when you've always been a follower, creating when you've always been a consumer, healing when you're still wounded yourself, speaking when you've always been silent. But here's what you need to understand. Soul contracts aren't given to you because you're already capable of fulfilling them. They're given to you because fulfilling them is how you become who you're meant to be. The process of pursuing these impossible dreams is what develops the capacities you need. You don't wait until you're ready. You become ready by doing it. What's beautiful about this time is that you're not activating these contracts alone. Neptune in Aries is a collective transit, which means all over the world, people are waking up to their soul assignments simultaneously. You're going to meet collaborators you didn't know existed, find resources you didn't know were available, discover that the impossible thing you're being called to isn't impossible at all when you connect with others who share the vision. The warrior spirit is often portrayed as solitary, the lone hero. But the true warrior knows that the most powerful battles are won by those who fight together for something they all believe in. Creative expression becomes spiritual mission. For many people, creative expression has been relegated to hobby status, something you do when you have time, when you're not too tired, when the real responsibilities are handled. But Neptune in Aries is going to reveal to a lot of people that their creative expression isn't a hobby. It's their spiritual mission. That novel you've been writing in stolen moments. That music you create late at night. That art you make and hide in a drawer. That might be the exact medicine the world needs right now. And the warrior spirit is going to give you the courage to stop treating your creativity like it doesn't matter and start honoring it as the soul work it actually is. The shift from creative hobby to spiritual mission happens when you recognize that your creative gifts aren't just for your own enjoyment. They're how you serve. Every genuine creative expression carries frequency, energy, consciousness that affects people who encounter it. When you write from your authentic voice, readers feel that authenticity, and it gives them permission to be authentic. When you create art from your truth, viewers feel that truth, and it awakens something in them. When you make music from your soul, listeners feel that soul, and it touches their own. Your creativity isn't self-indulgent. It's how you contribute to the collective awakening happening on the planet right now. What Neptune in Aries demands is that you stop hiding your creative work, stop minimizing it, stop waiting until it's perfect before sharing it. The warrior energy says, "This is my medicine, this is my offering, this is my contribution," and puts it out into the world even when it's scary, even when you feel vulnerable, even when you risk criticism or rejection. Because the truth is, the world doesn't need more perfect art, it needs more honest art. It doesn't need more polished creativity, it needs more raw soul expression. And if your impossible dream is related to creative work, Neptune in Aries is telling you the time to share it is now, not someday when you feel more ready. Next, 13 years. Blueprint begins. What's crucial to understand is that Neptune doesn't just transit through Aries quickly. It's going to be there for the next 13 years. This isn't a fleeting influence. It's a complete restructuring of how an entire generation approaches dreams, spirituality, action, and courage. And 2026 is when that blueprint begins. When the themes get established, when the impossible dreams first get their warrior spirit, when you make the initial choices that set the trajectory for more than a decade of unfolding. The decisions you make now, the dreams you choose to pursue or ignore, They're going to echo through your entire late 20s, 30s, or 40s, depending on your age. The blueprint beginning now asks you to think long-term about these impossible dreams. This isn't about quick manifestation or instant success. It's about committing to visions that might take years to fully realize. But that's perfect for Neptune in Aries energy, because the warrior understands that meaningful victories require sustained effort, that worthwhile battles aren't won in a day. So when you look at your impossible dreams now, don't just ask, "Can I do this?" Ask, "Am I willing to dedicate the next 5 years, 10 years, 13 years to bringing this into reality?" Because if the answer is yes, if the dream is that important to your soul, then you have the time frame and the cosmic support to actually do it. What makes this blueprint so powerful is that you get to choose consciously now, rather than letting life choose for you. You can look at your 3 impossible dreams, the one getting clarity, the one demanding immediate action, the one emerging from hiding, and you can decide which ones you're saying yes to. Not all of them might be right for this season of your life, and that's okay, but the ones you do choose, commit to them fully, give them your warrior spirit, trust that Neptune is supporting you for the long journey ahead. 13 years from now, when Neptune prepares to leave Aries, you're going to look back at who you've become, what you've created, what you've contributed, and you'll be grateful you had the courage to begin when the impossible first became possible. So here you stand at the threshold of something that hasn't happened in 165 years. Neptune entering Aries, the mystic meeting the warrior, the impossible becoming possible through courage and vision. Your 3 dreams, they're not fantasies anymore, they're assignments. And you're not the person you were yesterday. You're someone who's being offered a warrior spirit to pursue what your soul has always known you were meant to do. The next 13 years are going to be unlike anything you've experienced. Not because they'll be easy, but because they'll be meaningful. Because you'll be living your truth instead of just thinking about it. Because you'll be taking action on visions that matter instead of settling for what's safe. This is your moment, your activation, your soul contract coming online. The impossible dreams you've been carrying. They've been waiting for this exact cosmic alignment to become possible. And now that alignment is here. So take a deep breath, feel the warrior spirit rising in you, and make the choice to begin. Not someday, not when you're more ready. Now, while Neptune in Aries is backing you up with divine fire. Your impossible dreams are about to discover they were only impossible because you hadn't met your warrior self yet. Well, meet yourself, and then change everything.